Okay, it's 12 already. Our second speaker is yet to be here. So let's just give 1 to 2 minutes more to see if he would. Let me send him a message. Okay, I think we can go ahead and start. Um, what do you think? I think we should go ahead and start.
Yes, please, we can start. Hopefully, others, including the speaker, is here to join us as we proceed because I'm pretty sure a lot of us here have or has other engagements, so we don't want to keep them waiting for so long. So we can commence the meeting.
Okay. Um, I want to welcome every one of you here today. It's a great privilege to have all of you here. In every gathering, we must first of all acknowledge one who is the most important, and it's God. I don't know if Mr. Tohib is here. Okay, I'm just admitting him. Please, Mr. Tohib Odwola, please, if you're here, can you kindly give us an opening prayer? Mr. Tohib, kindly give us an opening prayer.
Okay, I'm Ima. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Yeah, I'm going to pray this way that as we commend this this uh, this webinar today. May the Almighty God be with every one of us in Jesus' name as we start, and I pray that we end the webinar in a good spirit. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay. Thank you. That was my short prayer for today, sir and ma.
Oh, thank you so much, Tohib, for that. We ask that in everything we're doing today, all glory will be given to God. Welcome once again, and on behalf of the Wildlife of Africa Conservation Initiative, I warmly welcome you all to our webinar. And this webinar is titled African / Nigerian Unique Wildlife and Their Challenges. Well, today we're going to be discussing about African unique wildlife and their challenges, also Nigerian unique wildlife and their challenges. So today we celebrate the incredible diversity of African wildlife, from the majestic savanna species to the lesser known animals in the forest, in the desert and wetlands. We will explore the challenges they face, such as habitat loss, climate change, poaching, and we'll discuss practical solutions for their conservation. So I'm really happy and grateful that you guys chose to join us today, despite the fact that we are all busy with doing one or two things, but you're here and to be part of this webinar today. So thank you for joining us. in this vital conservation efforts, and today we can create a future where African unique wildlife will thrive. So I would welcome our guest speaker for today. Um, we have Dr. Sulaiman Mohammed. He's a seasoned conservationist, he's a biologist and ecologist. He's an associate professor in Federal University of Dutse, Jigawa State. He's dedicated to advancing conservation efforts in Nigeria and Africa. And we're really honored to have you here, sir, because since I met you or since I came across you, you've really been helpful. Anytime we call on you, you respond. And we're not really taking this act of yours for granted. We want to appreciate the efforts you make in the conservation of African wildlife species. And it's only God that will reward you and every other person who is making efforts to ensure that we speak up for this wildlife who cannot speak up for themselves. So thank you so much, sir, for being here today. Our second speaker, he's not yet here. He just sent a message that he will be joining soon. I don't know, maybe he's having network issues. But I'll go ahead and introduce him, and when he comes in, I'll call upon him. He's Professor Segun Oladoye. He's a professor of forest ecology and conservation in the Department of Forestry and Wildlife Management, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Ogun State. He's a seasoned academic with up to 16 years experience in the area of biodiversity. He's always there when we call upon him, and we're grateful that he is part of the people that will be enlightening us about the dangers African wildlife faces and how we can, have practical solutions to their conservation. I don't know if Ms. Eniola is here in the meeting. If she's not here, please can Mr. Francis help me share the programs of events. Please can you
I'm
help
here in
me
the
share the
meeting.
programs of events?
Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right. I'll be sharing the screen for the event.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Eniola.
Welcome.
On the screen is our programs of events. Our first item is the opening prayer, which was held by Mr. Tohib Adwola, and we want to appreciate you, Tohib, for that wonderful prayer. Our second item is the welcome address and introduction of guest speaker, which has been done by me, Mrs. Perpetua Mutala, the Director of Operations of the Wildlife of Africa Conservation Initiative. Then we have the review of agenda, which is the agenda we are reviewing right now. Then we have the purpose of this webinar, which I've already stated initially. I said this webinar is organized for us to look into African unique wildlife, Nigerian unique wildlife, the challenges they face, practical solutions to how we can conserve them, how we can speak for them, how we can advocate for them. And that is the reason why we have decided to organize this webinar so that we all can give in our voice on how things can be done, on how we can help the wildlife species. Then we will have the next item is opening remarks by our executive director, who is our executive director, Mr. Francis Ogwaju. He will be giving us the opening.
Pep, are you there?
Hello, Miss Pep. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. I think
Can
you
hear you
froze
now.
at some point.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so we'll be going into our first speaker presentation. Today, the speaker that we're presenting first will be Dr.
Sulaiman Mohammed, who is presenting on Nigeria's unique wildlife and their challenges. Okay, we have our second speaker who is just coming. I'm sorry for that. Sorry for just a small break. So we have our second speaker, Professor Segun Oladoye. So we welcome you. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for being here with us today. We are grateful to have you, sir. So
Thank you so much, ma.
we're happy to have you here for today. So like I was saying, our first speaker presentation, our first speaker will be, please, can you mute? Can you mute, please? Mr. Ahmed, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our first speaker presentation will be from Dr. Sulaiman Mohammed. Today he will be telling us about Nigeria's unique wildlife and their challenges. Then after his presentation, we will have our second speaker, who is Professor Segun Oladoye. He will be telling us about A, which is question and answer, where we all ask questions regarding the first speaker presentation and the second speaker presentation. And if you also have a contribution to make to what they have said, you would raise your hand and we would call upon you to contribute to whatever you want to say or to ask questions as regarding that. And after that, we will have the closing remarks and photograph by Ms. Eniola. She is the Digital and Content Officer of the Wildlife of Africa Conservation Initiative. So this is the end of our agenda for today. So as we come to the end of this agenda, Ms. Eniola, kindly help me stop sharing while I call on Mr. Francis Ogwaji, the Executive Director of the Wildlife of Africa Conservation Initiative, for his opening remarks and the overview of WASI. Thank you so much. Mr. Francis, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I
You are
didn't even know I
muted.
was
Thank you.
muted. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Perpetua, for that wonderful intro and brief. I want to appreciate you for all your efforts and dedication to WASI and the wildlife in general. Also, I want to use this opportunity on behalf of the founder, Mr. Felix Olushola Abayomi, our staffs and volunteers, to welcome each and every one of you to today's webinar. And I also want to use this opportunity to thank my team, starting from Mrs. Perpetual to our content and digital officer, Ms. Eniola, and Ms. Zainab, and the others who I did not mention. I want to thank each and every one of you for your contribution and for making today's event possible. So, well, first off, the Wildlife of Africa Conservation Initiative, WASI, is a non-profit organization dedicated and committed towards raising a generation that is knowledgeable and motivated to take positive action on behalf of our precious African wildlife. And since 2016, we've engaged over 1,000 volunteers, including entities from different parts of the world, to champion efforts targeted at conserving, preserving, and educating the public about African wildlife. through various programs, projects, and initiatives. And our vision is to cultivate a generation that is knowledgeable and that is passionate about taking up actions that are targeted at preserving African wildlife. And we do this in collaboration with various stakeholders, including but not limited to educational institutions at all levels, both primary, secondary, and tertiary, research institutions, private organizations, other non-government organizations, and cultural organizations at all levels, both at local, national, regional, and international levels. Through these partnerships, WASI is able to promote and propagate the appreciation and knowledge of African flora and fauna among the young people. And we want to use this opportunity to call on each and every one of you to try as much as possible to support WASI, either through donation or through carrying out one or two conservation-centric or related efforts. And you can engage us either by visiting our website via www.wildlifeofafrica.org, or you can send us an email via info@wildlifeofafrica.org. We're also on social. You can engage us by liking, sharing, and reposting our content or our post. On X, formerly Twitter, our handle is at wildlife_a_crew. On Facebook, you can engage with us via handle at Wildlife Africa Initiative. On Instagram, our Instagram handle is at wildlife_Africa_crew. We want to use the opportunity to encourage each and every one of us to support our work, support our cause, and help us and join your voices in order for us to speak for the voiceless, the wild flora and fauna. And we believe that when all hands are on deck, we'll be able to achieve our goal of ensuring a more prosperous, sustainable, and equitable environment for all. Thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful time with us today.
Thanks so much, Dr. Francis Ogwaju, for that wonderful welcome remark and overview of WASI. We'll dive in straight to the reason why we're here today. For that, I'll be calling on our first speaker, Dr. Sulaiman Mohammed, for his presentation. So we're once again grateful to have you here. Please, you can go ahead to share your screen and have your presentation. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Perpetua, Mr. Francis, and everyone on board. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. So, good morning and good afternoon and good evening, everyone, from wherever you are joining us from. Like it has been said, I am Sulaiman Mohammed, and I work with the Department of Biology in Federal University of Dutse, Jigawa State. So my own part of the presentation is going to center around Nigerians' unique wildlife and their challenges. I want to start by saying that globally, we know that there are around 2 million known species globally. But in Nigeria, do we know how many species we have in Nigeria? So if you have the answer, you can put in the comment section. We can look at it later on. Nigeria is rich in plants and animals, making the country to be rich in biodiversity. So this richness is due to its complex topography, favorable climate, and a wide range of habitat. Those of us in the southern part of the country will observe that the vegetation type there is rainforest, some parts are swamp areas, Those of us around Lokoja and Abuja will see we have a kind of dry savanna, a combination of forest and savanna. Those of us around Kano, Jigawa, Yobe, we experience Sudan and Sahel savanna. So these different vegetation types come with its unique types of animals. For example, the savannas harbors African bush elephants, lions, and antelopes. Rainforest is a habitat for gorillas. We have the endemic cross river gorilla, pangolins, African forest elephant, and rare bird species like the African gray-necked picatitis. Wetlands areas like the Hadeja Ungru wetlands harbors millions of resident and migratory bird species. Mountainous areas such as Obudu Plateau and Mambila is a home to the endemic Nigerian Cameroon chimpanzee. Now, all these biodiversity are confined to areas we refer to as protected areas. And these protected areas can be national parks, game reserves, forest reserves, IBA. IBA stands for Important Bird Area, Ramsar Site, etc. Now, the difference between the national park, game reserve, and the forest reserve is that the national park are areas set aside for the conservation of plants and animals, and it is managed by the Federal Ministry of Environment through the National Park Service with its headquarters in Abuja, while the game reserves and the forest reserves are managed by state government. So currently we have 10 national parks in Nigeria. It used to be 7 national parks, but currently, recently, 3 game reserves have been upgraded to national parks. That is the Marhai in Nasarawa State, the Obahis in Oshun Oshogbo, and the Baturia Game Reserve, which has now become the Hadeja Wetlands National Park. So we have 10 national parks. So by the time the remaining 7 are handed over, we are going to have a total of 17 national parks in Nigeria. So for game reserve, we have 32 game reserve, 994 forest reserve, 27 important bird area, 11 Ramsar sites, 2 World Heritage sites, and 1 biosphere. So Ramsar sites are areas that have wetlands of international importance. Now, IUCN, that is the International Union for Conservation of Nature, have been able to assess 91,667 plants and animals. And this assessment have been put into different categories that we refer to as IUCN Red List categories. So for the Nigeria, I only extracted the endemic species in Nigeria. Okay, those endemic species in Nigeria. So if you look at across classes, we have 6 endemic mammals. Out of these 6 endemic mammals, 3 of them are threatened. We have 3 endemic bird species, and one of these 3 is threatened. Okay, we have 8 endemic reptiles, and 3 of these reptiles are threatened. We have 2 amphibians, endemic amphibians, and both 2 are threatened species. For freshwater fishes, we have 22 endemic freshwater fishes, and 16 of them are threatened. And for the invertebrate, for example, the freshwater crabs, we have 2 of them that are endemic, and none of them is threatened. So when we say threatened, we are referring to those species that have been classified as either vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered in the IUCN Red List of threatened species. Okay. So this data was for 2025. So the data can change because every day new other species are being assessed. So I'm going to select one of 2 of these protected areas and just give a highlight. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Gashaka Gumti National Park. So Gashaka Gumti National Park is located in 2 states. The northern part of the park is located in Tongo, Adamawa State, while the southern part is located in Barua in Taraba State. So the Gashaka Gumti National Park is the largest national park in Nigeria, covering an area of 6,731 square kilometers. Okay, the good thing about this park is that majority of the park is still pristine, is still intact, because the park is very difficult to assess. It's very remote and very difficult to access. So the area is still intact. The park is also the source of the river Benue, which supports millions of Nigeria. The park also has the highest peak in Nigeria, okay, with an elevation of 2,425 meters above sea level. In 2021, my friends and I went to this area. We spent 3 nights at this mountain top. Okay, the mountain is called Gangirwa Mountain or Chapalwadi. Okay. And in terms of biodiversity, the Gashaka Gomti, the Gashaka Gomti National Park harbors more than 500 butterflies. Fish. Are you with me?
With you.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay,
We can hear you, sir.
Good. So in terms of biodiversity, the park harbors more than 500 butterflies, 55 fish, 18 amphibians, 26 reptiles, 500 birds, and 103 mammals. So the park is an important bird area and also a key biodiversity area. So the park also harbors the endemic Nigerian Cameroon chimpanzee. The Nigerian Cameroon chimpanzee. So what we refer to as endemic is that those animals that are confined to that particular area and are found nowhere else in the world. So you can only find the Nigerian Cameroon chimpanzee in Gashaka Gomti National Park area and nowhere else in the world. So apart from the Nigerian Cameroon chimpanzee, you can also find the yellow-back deer, African golden cat, African bush, buffalo, etc. The Gashaka Gomti National Park is one of those places where you can record the speckled-breasted woodpecker and the brown-backed scrub robin, and also one of the only 2 sites in Nigeria where the Affect pigeon and the Abyssinian hill babbler were seen in Nigeria. Now, table 1 shows some animals of conservation concerns that are found in Gashaka Gomti National Park. So we can see the African bush elephant, the African wild dog, giant eland, mountain reedbuck, leopard, African buffalo, deer, patas monkey, potty-nosed guinean, and mona monkey. And if you look at the IUCN status, they are all near threatened and threatened, and the population trend is decreasing. Okay. So table 2 shows those bird species that we call trigger species. And these trigger species are those species that make the Gashaka Gomti National Park to be a key biodiversity area and important bird area. So species such as the Bagua warbler, Cameroon olive pigeon, Shelley's olive bar, Cameroon olive green bull, Barnabas weaver, and long green tail are trigger species that can be found in Gashaka Gomti National Park. So table 3 shows the distribution of these important species based on the different habitats that can be found in Gashaka Gomti National Park. So that is Gashaka Gomti National Park, the largest national park in Nigeria. So the second one is Amurum Forest Reserve. Amurum Forest Reserve is located in eastern part of Jos, Plateau State. Okay. It harbors more than 300 bird species, including 2 endemic bird species, the rock firefinch and the Jos Plateau indigo bird. If you remember, we said we have 3 endemic bird species, so 2 of them are found in Amurum Forest Reserve, while the other one, which is the Ibadan Malimbe, is found around somewhere around Ibadan. Okay, so Amurum Forest Reserve is also an important bird area. And the famous AP Leventis Ontological Research Institute, that is APLORI, that are doing great job in terms of conservation and avian conservation, is located in Amurum Forest Reserve. Now, Yankari Game Reserve. In 2021, my team and I were able to secure some funds, some grants that we use in carrying out some research to exploit the biodiversity of Yankari Game Reserve and Hadeja Wetlands National Park. Okay, so the Yankari is an important bird area, and of course, Yankari is famous for having the largest population of surviving African bush elephants, lions, buffalo, hippopotamus, roan antelope, hartebeest, and many birds, amphibians, reptiles, butterfly, and plant species. Okay, so Table 4 shows some of those important species of conservation concern, while Table 5 shows those trigger species that make Yankari to be a KB and also important bird area. Now, the Hadleja Wetlands National Park, which used to be known as Baturia Game Reserve, so it has been upgraded now to a national park. So this is part of the Hadleja Unguru Wetlands, and it is the first Ramsar site in Nigeria. So the area is also an IBA and also a key biodiversity area. The area is famous for supporting millions of Palearctic migrants and also resident bird species. As such, the area is an important site for birds conservation and other biodiversity in sub-Saharan Africa. So I just want to show you this short video that I took during one of our survey in Hadleja Unguru, in Hadleja Wetlands National Park. So you can see this is a mixture of different water birds, including the white-faced whistling ducks, fulvos, gargany, knobbills, and so many of them. I'm sure you are going to enjoy the place if you go there. So we've taken so many pictures, and of course, this is a webinar. I don't have all the time to show you these pictures, but I've dropped a link where you can get the picture, you can see the photos we've taken in these two protected areas. However, I have been able to put some together, okay? So you can see here, this is the dragonfly, the broad scarlet, the zebra white, the African monarch butterflies. Okay, these are other butterflies that we recorded in both protected areas. Now we have three migratory butterflies that visit Nigeria. One of them is the African monarch butterfly, the Danos crisipus, the African migrant, and also the pioneer white. So these are the three migrant butterflies that we have in Nigeria, and we've been all able to photograph these butterflies. So these are other butterfly species that we photographed. Okay, the pioneer white, the northern Angola whites, the common diadem, all of them. Okay. These are some of the field guides that can help with butterfly identification, and they have been able to, these were put together by this famous lepidopterist, which is Oscar Brainstorm. You can download these e-copies for free at his website, which is biocyclos.se. Please go there. These e-copies are free for downloads, and they are very great for butterfly field identification. I'm sure you are going to enjoy it. So iNaturalist is also a website that can help you with the identification of butterflies in case you are having some difficulties with the butterfly identification. Here are some of the applications that you can use to carry out butterfly survey. So please download them. They are all free and you can enjoy them. Okay. So these are some photos of dragonflies that we also photograph. Here is the black patcher. Here is the wandering glider. Here is the keyhole glider. This one is the orange dropwing, the widow, the orchid spread wing. Okay, the violent dropwing, the red vent dropwing, the pied spot. Okay, and the blue basker. Okay, so these are some of the photos that we'll be able to photograph. And this is also a field guide for the dragonflies and damselflies of South Africa, and I'm sure it's going to be of use to you. So for fish, these are some of the photos for the fish. This is the Nile tiger fish. This is the African arowana. This is the West African lungfish, the red belly tilapia. Okay, these are some of the fish. So if you know the name of this fish, just put it in the comment below. We'll look at it later on. Okay. So, but we've provided the names for others: the trunkfish, the electric catfish, the sailfish, the African carp. Okay. Yeah. Similarly, if you know the name of this fish, you can put it in the comment below and then we'll look at it. So I took this picture in one of the wetlands around the Baturia Game Reserve. This was in 2011, almost 12 years back. Okay, so these are the books for the for freshwater fishes that can help you with their identification. There are also some applications, okay, and you can also go to iNaturalist. Some of the amphibians we've been able to photograph and record include the rich frogs, the Galam white-leaf frog, the Moella clawed frog, and the crown bull frog. Okay, so these are some of the field guides for amphibians identifications. Okay.
12:30 on notification. WhatsApp.
So these are some of the reptiles that we've recorded.
The photos
So these are some of the yes, these are some of the reptiles we've recorded: the Varanus nilotica, the guinea fringe, fingered lizard, the fire-headed skink. Okay, so these are some of the books that can help you with reptiles identification. Okay, so for birds, we recorded so many important bird species. Okay, the lead-collared flycatcher, the Achitrin warbler, the Rufus cisticola, these are very shy and cryptic birds. So, but we're able to photograph them. This is Marshall eagle, which is the largest eagle in Nigeria. These are other bird species that we've recorded. This is Hippo. This is the bird that was mentioned in the Holy Quran in the story of King Solomon. In Arabic, it's called Al-Huda bird. In Hausa language, we call it Huda, but in English, it's called Hoopoe. So in Nigeria, we have the Eurasian Hoopoe and we have the African Hoopoe. So we've been able to we've been able to record the Eurasian Hoopoe. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay.
But the screen is not showing.
Oh, the screen is not showing?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
We can see your screen
okay.
also.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yes,
some
now.
can see and some cannot see. So we are going to share the slides at the end of the presentations. So for those of you that can. Okay, so these are other birds species that we've been able to photograph, and I must mention that all the pictures shown here are pictures that we photographed. We didn't copy any picture from the internet. These are our own personal collections. In fact, there are so many that we cannot. We've gotten almost more than 4,000 pictures of different species. Okay. So this is the Verox eagle owl, which is the largest owl in Nigeria that we have in Nigeria. We've recorded it many times, and we've gotten so many photographs of the Verox eagle owl. And to the right is the palm nut vulture. It's one of those vultures that can be found in Yankari Game Reserve. This is grayish eagle owl. We've recorded this eagle owl many times, but these are nocturnal species, meaning that you can only find them, you can only see them at night. So we've been able to get good photographs of the grayish eagle owl. So these are some of the resources that can help you with bird identification. Birds of Western Africa is very popular. You can also download this application. So many applications on birds of Africa, Merlin, eBird, Birdlasser, and so many of them. Okay. For mammals, we've been able to photograph so many mammals. We photographed the roan antelopes, western hartebeest, the African wolf, the Defasa waterbug, the common warthog, okay, the serval, okay. So many mammals, the common deer, striped ground squirrels, the Defasa waterbugs, red patas monkeys, the olive baboon. Of course, the olive baboon is so many in Yankari. You see them, you find them everywhere. Okay, so the grey wolf, the serval, the bushbuck, the roan antelope. We've recorded so many mammals. So these are some of the books that can help you with mammals identification. We use this one a lot. The Kingdom Pocket Guide to African Mammals. It's very good. It's very good. Okay. So we've seen some of the few animals that we have in Nigeria. This is a presentation, so there's not enough time for me to go into details, but I believe in the subsequent presentations, we are going to have detail of this wildlife. So let's look at some of the conservation efforts and some of the success stories that we have, okay? So I've been able to put this into 3 or into 4 categories. The NGOs, some of the project, government, and individuals. So for the NGOs, there's this organization, which is the African Nature Investors, the Wildlife Conservation Society of Nigeria, the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, West African Conservation Network, Wildlife of African Conservation Initiative, NSCB, that's Nigerian Society for Conservation Biology, Nigerian Tropical Biology Association. Yeah, I'm going to be having another webinar on Monday, hosted by the Nigerian Society for Conservation Biology. So if you have chance, you can join me, okay, on Monday. So these are some of the projects: the Akrisal, our own Baturia and Yankari Game Reserve Biomapping Project, individuals like the Professor Diallo, myself, Abubakar Sirajo, and so many other that I can't mention in this presentation. So let's look at a few of these activities, okay? So this is African Nature Investors. They have been able to enter an MOU with National Park Service, and they currently work in Gashaka Gomti National Park and Okumu National Park in Edo State. These guys are doing great job when it comes to biodiversity conservation and park management. In 2021, we visited them. My team under one United Nations project, we visited them and we saw the amazing work they are doing. They've refurbished offices. They've invited an international training firm, which is known as Conservation Outcomes, to train the rangers and equip them with good and sophisticated firearms. They've purchased a helicopter to be able to help in the in survey and other wildlife monitoring. They bought ranger trackers, devices, and control rooms, among others. They've done so many great jobs in Gashaka Gomti National Park. Okay, some of the activities, community activities they've been doing is that recently they've been able to empower 1,600 women in Taraba State. They provided them with a rice milling machine. Okay. Here, they open another outpost in Tongo, that's the northern sector of the Gashaka Gomti National Park, to help with wildlife monitoring and conservation. Okay, so this is a photo of water buck that was captured by their camera traps. So what they did is that they've mounted some camera traps in strategic areas of the park to help get photos of unique and shy species. And there are so many success stories, okay? Still, African Nature Investors was able to help in the development of the National Elephant Action Plan. These are some of the photographs captured by the camera traps. Here recently, they captured a leopard, which was not seen for a very long time in Nigeria. Annie was able to get the photograph of the leopard, the African golden cat, the caracal, the aardvark. Okay, here, these are buffalo, spotted hyena, African golden cat, the forest elephant, and the yellowback deer. So I must confess that Annie is doing a great job when it comes to conservation of wildlife and park management in Nigeria. So another organization I would like to just give a highlight is the WCS, that's Wildlife Conservation Society. So they've also entered an MOU with Yankari Game Reserve and also with the Cross River National Park. Okay, so they've been involved in the conservation of Cross River, gorilla, the elephants and the lions in Yankari. They've been empowering the local communities. They've been involved in training the rangers of Yankari and also equipping them. They've been using smart monitoring to monitor the wildlife of Yankari and Cross River. They've been able to put a satellite collar on elephants so that they can monitor their movement in and outside of the park. Okay, so Wildlife Society is also doing a great job, and they also have trail cameras mounted at strategic areas, and these cameras were able to capture the drill monkey, the African bush, the African forest elephant. Okay. Other projects include the Southwest Niger Delta Forest Project, which they were able to capture the chimpanzee, the Nigerian white-throated monkey, the bush buck, and so many others. Okay. So now the AP Leventis Ornithological Research Institute is famous for is very famous when it comes to avian research and conservation. In fact, many of us product of the AP Leventis Ontological Research Institute. They are carrying out so many projects. You can go to their website and see what they are doing. And they also offer fully funded scholarship, MSc in conservation. You can apply for free MSc in conservation biology. So our team are also doing great job in Yankari, Hadeja Wetlands National Park, and also currently we are working in Chad Basin National Park at Dagona sector. So we've been generating data on biodiversity and species distribution maps in these two protected areas. Other individuals, for example, this Honorable Tise Ubo, he was involved, or he brought out the law protecting endangered species, and it had been passed by the National Assembly. Okay, so recently the Bayelsa State made an announcement to prohibit all illegal timber and logging within the state. So these are good conservation efforts and success stories. Now, challenges. There are so many challenges when it comes to biodiversity conservation, okay, but I've just highlighted a few of them. One is the habitat destruction, climate change, illegal wildlife trade, human-wildlife conflict, weak conservation policies. But I'm going to give some threats that are specific to where we have worked, like Yankari and Hadeja Wetlands National Park. So one of the threats in Yankari is roadkill. So usually you observe so many roadkills on the major road connecting the entrance and the park, because these animals frequently cross from one part of the road to the other, and in the process, tourists hit these animals. We've seen so many roadkills. This is puff adder that was killed. Okay, this is also a grayish eagle that was also hit by a vehicle. Okay, so another threat is poaching. Poaching is very rampant in Yankari. Even though the WCS are doing great job, they are patrolling on and on, but there's still an issue of poaching in Yankari. Littering is another issue in Yankari. Sometimes when tourists, we don't have proper way to litter our dead, so we just throw away things anyhow. And unfortunately, these animals, they pick these nylons or trash and eat, and of course they end up dying or getting sick. So one of the threats there is littering. Okay, so this is a water hawk that we photograph chewing a nylon, a polythene bag. So when you come to Hadeja Wetlands National Park, because majority of the park is a wetlands area, so there's a lot of fishing around the area. Unfortunately, these fishermen leave their fishing gear, and these birds, when they are foraging, when they come close to the fishing gear, they end up getting entangled, and in most of the cases, they die. So we found so many carcasses of these water birds. It's quite unfortunate. So other activities you can see is overfishing in the wetlands area. These are wetlands area that keeps millions of water birds, but unfortunately, you can see the overfishing is chasing away these birds. Okay, you can see people how they troop in to go for fishing. It's very unfortunate. And when you go, also you observe other activities such as fuel wood fishing, deforestation, and so many negative activities going on. This is a photograph of Yankari. There's also uncontrolled grazing in Yankari. So many times we've encountered cows and cattle grazing in the reserve, and it's not good for wildlife management and conservation. Okay, so other threats include uncontrolled harvest of resources, outdated firearms. The rangers over there, you see, most of them don't have good firearms, so they cannot fight these poachers. Okay, but we thank God organizations like the WCS and ANI are coming in to help to provide modern and sophisticated firearms. Otherwise, it would have been disastrous. So lack of good roads and patrol vehicles within the reserve. There are no patrol vehicles, so sometimes to even go after these criminals, poachers is very difficult. Okay, lack of training for rangers. Some of the rangers don't attend training, so they are far. You know, they lack proper training. They need to be sent to wildlife schools so that they can get a proper training. And lastly, there's lack of updated management plan. For Yankari, there's a management plan that was put in 1960. And up till now, that management plan is still there. It has not been updated. For Hadeja Wetlands National Park, there's no management plan. So if these two management can come up with a management plan, it would be great. Those are some of the challenges, and we have some way forward and solutions, which include sustainable land use, strengthening policy and enforcement, community engagement, international collaboration, and emerging technologies such as the use of drones, camera traps, and satellite monitoring in wildlife management. Okay, another way forward is to become a citizen scientist. You can go out, monitor wildlife, take photos, upload on websites, okay, talk with these local people, tell them about biodiversity, tell them the importance of these animals to our ecosystem, okay? Or you can even join any conservation society or conservation group around you to become a volunteer. So let's come back to our initial questions. How many species do we have in Nigeria? This is a very difficult question to answer. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we don't have one database that can give you the total number of all the species in Nigeria. However, there are other international databases that can help provide data on species that are found in Nigeria. For example, if you are looking for data on bird species, you can go to BirdLife International website, then go to country tab, click on Nigeria, then you can have the avian data in Nigeria. And if you look at it, we have 868 bird species in Nigeria, 750 are land birds, 256 are migratory species, 150 are water birds, 24 are seabirds, and 4 are endemic species. So for information or data on bird species, you can find on BirdLife International. But on other species such as mammals, reptiles, amphibians, it's very difficult to get those data. However, you can get some data in iNaturalist, and this data, I extracted this data from iNaturalist website. So if you look at it, we have a total of 38,332 observations that was submitted on iNaturalist in Nigeria. Out of these, 4,076 are the different species we have in Nigeria, and we have 2,832 that help in identifying these species, and we have this number of observers. So currently, as of Wednesday 15th, when I downloaded this data, we have a total number of 4,076 species. So I just selected some of these classes. So I presented mammoths. You can see the data on mammoths. We have 1,450 species of plants. We have 51 amphibians. We have 115 reptiles. We have 610 birds. And we have 130 mammals. So let's look at birds. For birds, 610 is close to the number that BirdLife International provided, which is 868. So of course, this data can change because every day, day by day, people keep uploading data on iNaturalist. They keep uploading data on iNaturalist. So as it is now, iNaturalist website is the only website where you can get the current number of species that can be found in Nigeria. Is it plants, amphibians, reptiles, birds? All you can get the data there. Unfortunately, many of us don't know how to access the iNaturalist website. Maybe in the subsequent webinar, we can have a webinar on iNaturalist to teach people how you can upload your data on iNaturalist, how you can download data, how you can collaborate with people on iNaturalist. Is a great website. iNaturalist is a great website. I encourage you all to check the website iNaturalist, create your profile, and start uploading your findings. So you can find our data on iNaturalist website via this link. Once you click on this link, you can see all the data we've collected in the two protected areas, Yankari and Hadeja Wetlands National Park. They are all there, so you can use the data. It's for free. Okay. So I want to end my presentation by thanking my team, especially Abubakar Siraj Oringing, Harun, and some other guys in the team. Okay, they are doing a great job, and most of the photos you see there are taken by them, especially Harun and Ringim. Okay, thank you everyone. If you have any question, we can meet at the end of the presentation. Thank you. So are you with me?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sulaiman. Okay, she's back.
Thank you, Dr. Sulaiman.
Thank you.
Continue, Pep. I thought you were having network issues, so I had to stop.
Yeah, sorry for that. Today I'm having a lot of network issue, and it seems like a lot of folks are signing into the WASI workspace, so it keeps logging me out. So I don't know if one person can just sign out of the WASI workspace, so that it doesn't keep signing me out. It shows that a lot of folks are signed into the WASI workspace. So thank you so much, Dr. Suleiman, for this detailed presentation. Honestly, this is really detailed. And as much as network was kicking me out and I was missing some part of it, but I've at least learned a lot, and we really appreciate that. If you have any question, please, you can start typing in your question, and after Professor Segun's presentation, the questions will be read out and answers will be given. Thank you so much, as we welcome Professor Segun Oladoye for his presentation, and he will be speaking on African unique wildlife and their challenges. Please, Professor, you can now unmute yourself and share your screen. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. Please, I'm trying to see how I can share the screen.
Okay. There is an icon. If you're using a laptop, there's an icon with an arrow that shows that you should share it first.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to fix that.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Or you could send in your presentation to me. I'll immediately forward it to Mr. Francis so that you can help us hear it.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. I'll send it to your WhatsApp now.
Okay, fine.
Just 1 minute.
Gaskiya ke komai kamar baki iya wa kaje bidiyon fuska ta da ke gani. Baki san ya za ki juya ta baki sai ta.
Mr. Arnold, please help us know.
I've shared the slides with you now.
Okay, sir. Mr. Francis, I'm going to share it with you now. And please kindly help us share your screen.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, while we are trying to do that, good afternoon once again. And let me appreciate the organizer for the opportunity to to be part of this gathering again. I am always encouraged to see things like this coming up in our, at least to enlighten the public, and also to add to our, either to add to our knowledge or to refreshing our memory, and to help us to know what and to help us to know, I mean, to do better, especially with our environment, especially considering the ecosystem we find ourselves. And let me also thank the Dr. Sulaiman for that beautiful presentation. As he was talking and mentioning some of those places, I was just remembering how I have had to spend 15 days and inside the Gachaga Gomti, moving from one point to another point, sleeping on tents, collecting flora data, especially to develop a compendium for the national parks in Nigeria. As we speak, I'm still working on that with my team. Well, I have just been asked to speak on beyond the savannah, Africa's unique wildlife and their challenges. Of course, to start with, the challenges is the same, just that it's not sometimes it's on, it may not be, it's now on a global scale when we are talking about a continent of Africa. And just to add to the information you have provided before, that we have about 10 and hopefully we have 7.
Okay, so Pep, can I share?
Yes, you can go ahead to share.
Yes.
Okay, national parks in the moment in Nigeria. I also need to add to it that as we speak, we have protected areas all together. So that's just to say that, as a matter of fact, Africa is indeed blessed. And that takes us to my brief presentation, that of course, Africa, often referred to as the cradle of humanity, and is a home to diverse, unique array of wildlife species. And when you are talking about Africa, it's known for its extraordinary biodiversity, hosting a variety of ecosystems, that ranging from savannas to rainforest to deserts, and also to wetland and marine environment. I will show us a table of that briefly describe the various ecosystems in Africa. And of course, the concept beyond the savannah encompasses Africa's diverse ecosystems. It encompasses Africa's diverse ecosystem from the rainforest in the Congo Basin or to the Sahara desert. And of course, the savannah ecosystem is often considered as the quintessential African landscape, characterized by open grassland and scattered trees. That is a typical of grassland. And however, this narrow perspective overlooks the vast array of ecosystems that exist beyond the savannah. And that's why, so this Africa's unique wildlife can be found in the variety of habitats, including tropical forests, desert, wetlands, and also other ecosystems. And that's what these people try to explore, the unique Africa's wildlife, including both the flora and the fauna components, and their impact, their benefits, the ecological, socio-economic, and the challenges associated with the ecosystem. And it will interest us to know that Africa is a home to over 1,100 species of mammals, 2,000 species of birds, 3,000 species of fish, and 10,000 species of plants, according to IUCN 2020.
Can you all see my screen? I'm sharing. Professor Segun, can you see it?
I'm not seeing. Okay, it's coming up now. I'm seeing it now. It's coming up. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So let me know when you want me to switch
Yes.
or slide to the next.
So I'm on. I'm now on slide number 5 now. I'm on slide number 5.
Number 5.
Yes, slide number 5 now.
Check my screen.
Okay,
Is that
it's not the first slide.
No, I've moved to the 5th slide.
Outside the
coming up
screen
yet.
is not showing.
It's not showing.
Yes.
No, it's
It's
not
not showing yet.
showing.
So, as I said, it has about 10,000 species of plants. That is, as recorded by the IUCN in year 2020. And many of these species are found nowhere else in the world. And that makes Africa a biodiversity hotspot. Most of these species are not found elsewhere. And I've had opportunity of being in China. I was in China in 2011. I was looking around trying to see if I will see a particular species, a tree species that is common to us here in Africa. But honestly speaking, I could not find any. I couldn't find any that look like our trees here in Africa. And that is one of the unique nature, of course, from our tropical rainforest, our ecosystem ranges from the savannah. We have, at least in Nigeria now, we have the relics of a rainforest that is in Okumu National Park, in Cross River National Parks, and a few other. And of course, there have been serious degradation. And now, the next table gives us the ecosystems in Africa, and I call it a continent of diversity. Ecosystems in Africa and the continent of diversity. And what I did is just to identify the ecosystems, the key characteristics, the key regions, the wildlife, and the challenges. When I say wildlife, I'm referring to both the plant and the animals. So it's not just the animal alone. So and their challenges, and of course we have about 8 of them identified. And of course savanna, that is of course open grassland with scattered trees such as acacia, baobabs, and marked with a distinct wet and dry season. And of course we have them in the Serengeti in Kenya, in the Kenya National Parks in South Africa. We have a portion of Old Oyo National Park also forming part of this savanna region. And of course, when you get to Gada Gomti, of course, it's also it has a number of eco vegetation there. That national park is unique on its own. It has about almost all the ecosystems we will talk about over there. And of course, the savanna is the home to the lions, the elephants, zebra, giraffe, and co. And of course, it supports some massive herbivorous migrations like the great wild beasts. And of course, what are the major challenges there is habitat fragmentation due to agriculture and urbanization. Of course, it has to do with overgrazing and of course climate change. That is a major challenge. Now, of course, we have the tropical rainforest, and when we are talking about tropical forest, it's characterized by the dense evergreen forest, and you have layers include emergent canopy understory and the forest floor. And the key region, like I said, we have the Congo Basin, we have the Okomu National Parks, part of Miombo woodland that covered by 5 countries, is also another rainforest. And of course, the wild animals include the gorillas, the chimpanzees, the African grey parrot, the forest elephant, and of course, it's a diverse plant species, some with medicinal properties. And what are the major challenges here with that? Is deforestation for agriculture, logging, and mining. I recently conducted a research, a soil survey for a company in Ogun State here, and of course, I got to know in the process they said they want to do soil survey, but I realized that beyond soil survey, they were only concerned about mining. Recently, we conducted a study at we worked at Odo National Park, and we couldn't get to some place. Why? Because of the mining in that national park. So therefore, at the poaching and the illegal wildlife trade, there's some of the challenges associated with the tropical rainforest. I recollect some some few years ago, a man was caught at a Cross River National Park, if my memory did not fail me, and he was caught with he killed a gorilla that weighed about 400 kilograms or thereabout, and guess what he killed in exchange for? In exchange for rice and beans. When he killed the gorilla, of course he was caught and he was prosecuted. We have the desert, and the desert we all know that's Sahara Desert, that is the North Africa, the Kalahari Desert in South Africa, and of course the desertification due to overuse of the resources, because the few plants that are growing over around that place have been overused. So the desertification rate is on the increase, and of course it's caused by scarcity of water and food, affecting both wildlife and human population. We also have the wetland. We also have the wetland. We also have the wetland there, ecosystems. We have the mountain ecosystem of high altitude regions with temperature and vegetation zone found in mountain ranges and the island. Of course, a good example is in Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Ethiopia Airland, and some portion of the Gachaka Gomti National Park. Time will not permit me. I will have come up with some pictures I took during my visit to the place. And the basic challenge is habitat loss from agriculture and livestock grazing. We also have the coastal marine ecosystems. We also have the forest savanna mosaic. That is the tension zone between rainforest and savanna, and a mix of dense forest and open grassland. And part of these are found in West Africa, including Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Nigeria. And species adapted to both forests and savannas, such as leopards and duikers, are found. They thrive there. And of course, basic challenge here is logging and agriculture, and encroachment of this transitional zone has been a serious challenge. Now, I just presented this table, giving us the floral components, of the. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. We have the floral component, the rainforest, the framboise biomes, the savanna trees, the shrubs, and these are the various life forms that we have. And of course, mahogany, iroko, that's the Melissa excessa, the Tuberculosis sclerosylum, Periscopis elata. These are some of the major trees found in the rainforest. We have the baobab, that's Adazoya digitata, and the host of other trees that are found within the African's unique ecosystem. And that's one thing that stood us out. And unfortunately, it's unfortunate that our government, not only in Nigeria, in other countries, they are unconsciously or consciously conniving with all these Asians in the name of foreign aid and support, and they are destroying our ecosystem. Lately, I got to know that it was all a lie, that our indigenous tree species don't grow fast. It was just literally I saw that it was all lie, that our own indigenous tree species also grow, and also we can also carry out breeding activities and improve them. This one they will introduce to us is not because they are better off, but they have improved on them, and that's why they appear to be doing better and growing faster than our own indigenous species. And because we know African, we don't use the word, we don't know left from right, so message, we agree to everything they tell us, and that is one of the challenges we have. And thus, I also have a table showing the fauna component of the African's unique wildlife. We have the African elephant, that's the Loxodonta africana there. We have the leopard, we have the rhinoceros, we have the African buffalo, mountain gorilla. That's what are the birds. We have the African gay parrot, we have the ostrich, African pygmy falcon, red-billed, hornbill, and co. We have the Nile crocodile. Those are the reptiles. African rock python. We have the Nile monitor. We have the puff adder. Of course, our amphibians. We have the Goliath frog, African giant toad, red-eyed frog, frog, Egyptian toad. And some of these are our unique animals that are not found elsewhere or that may not are not found elsewhere. And of course, we all know how nearly on every year the birds fly as far as UK, Australia, and go down to Adeja Ingru wetland to come and get some level of comfort before they return back when condition improves. I have just shared these pictures to let us see some of the Africans' unique animals that we have in our various national parks and our protected areas. Now, what are the impacts and benefits of Africans' unique wildlife? We have the ecological importance, we have the socio-economic contributions, we have the cultural and spiritual values, we have habitat restoration. Our environment is so blessed that put anything on the floor, they will grow. Like I said, I was in China in 2011, and I realized that virtually their soil is not good. That one is certain and obvious. They don't have good soil. So that is why they always have this land earthquake. I mean, is it earthquake or landslide almost every now and then? And because their own soil is not good, they are doing everything possible. It's either to plant up their area or to concrete it. To put so their environment actually is not as good as ours. But it's unfortunate that we in Africa we are still sleeping, even snoring, and yet to awake to the reality that we need to protect our environment, our ecosystem. And now talking about the ecological importance, we have the carbon sequestration, and that is what is really now. As it was a record that Congo rainforest alone absorbed 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. And I recollect years ago where I was living in a place that I have a tree very close to my house. Honestly speaking, for almost all through this, all my stay in that house, I didn't use fan in my room because the weather is cool. So what I'm simply saying is that the ecological importance, we have the carbon sequestration potential. Of course, we also talk about the ecosystem health control. That means they regulate the temperature, the climate of the area. They regulate soil, they improve soil fertility, and a host of other activities. Of course, pollination, they pollinate plants, and these are some of the activities that our African ecosystem will do. Of course, they also talk about maintenance of vegetation structure through grazing, selective control grazing, and other activities. They maintain our vegetation structure. The socio-economics, we have the wildlife tourism, and that is the studies show that about $29 billion was generated annually in Africa through wildlife tourism. And of course, it's also a job creation. And of course, by the time you are talking about wildlife, there will be tour guard, there will be this, there will be that, and before you know it, a number of people have been are out of the street with a wonderfully engaged job. It also helps to generate income for rural livelihood. It generates income for rural livelihood. If you are able to collect firewood, collect some medicinal plants and some other activities, and it supports that, especially if it is sustainable, if the environment is sustainably managed, it can support the livelihood and provide an enabling environment to try able to support their agriculture. Yes, our wildlife also support our cultural and spiritual value. Cultural and spiritual value, that is maintenance of cultural heritage. Like I know a number of groups, sacred groups that we have not only in Nigeria, in other countries, that because there are some animals that you can't kill, there are some places you can't enter. There is a place here in Abeokuta that nobody except the king and the high priest or the chief priest of the city that can enter into that particular forest, and the forest is under absolute protection up to now. I pray it will remain as such. I hope one day one king will not wake up and say, what are we talking about? Recollect, if you are caught with the history of Ibadan, there is a place called Agodi Garden in Ibadan. As I'm speaking to you now, I passed through that place about late last year. A lot of the area, most of the area have been cleared for urbanization. So those are some of the issues we are talking about. So the spiritual connection to nature is also very, very part of the benefit of the ecosystem that we are talking about. And of course, they are able to restore the ecosystem through seed dispersal and forest regeneration, through the fecal droppings of the animals. They move some, they transfer some seeds from one place to another place, and through that there is a dispersal. And because they have also helped us to carry out some activity, the soil, on the seed, and even movement on the soil has made the soil friable for plants to thrive. Yes, like I said, there is nutrient cycling and soil fertilization for the two ecosystem maintenance. Now, taking a look at, I have a picture of trying to describe. I picked Miombo woodland in Tanzania and some other countries. I covered about 5 countries, just to give us what our forest is capable of giving us or providing for us. It serves as habitat, biodiversity habitat. Of course, the air we breathe in is also made available through this unique wildlife. We have, of course, climate regulation, livelihood support, water catchment, soil conservation, human-wildlife coexistence. These are some of the importance of having this for our wildlife well preserved and managed, so that even the future generation will continue to say something good about us. So now, because of time, the challenges associated with Africa's unique wildlife, number 1 is habitat loss. My brother who just spoke earlier on, Dr. Sulaiman, had dwelled so much on it. Habitat loss through deforestation, like I've advised with the challenges associated with each of the ecosystem, logging, agriculture, and charcoal. I recollect when I first came into Ogun State in 1998, everybody wants to use Mansonia for firewood, for furniture, and all those things. And they have a lot of them in Ogun State. But I can tell you for free, as I speak today now, there is no mature tree of Mansonia altissima in Ogun Forest, in any of the forests in Ogun State as we speak now, except the one they just planted as a seedling. So logging, agriculture, inside the Omobasa Reserve, that is one of the recognized UNESCO Biosphere Center in Nigeria at Omobasa Reserve. The bulk of the SNR, the core area, had been cleared for cocoa and plantain production lately. And also, when you go to Imeko in Ogun State too, the forest reserve has been degraded for charcoal production. And I'm sure that is not only in Nigeria. In every other country, they are, in Kenya and Tanzania, the complaint is the same. Urbanization, expanding cities, encroach on natural habitat. Yes, we cannot say we should not build houses. We cannot say we should not put up infrastructure such as roads, dams, mining, and coal. But they should be done so in such a way that the damage will be minimal, or the impact will be minimal. But unfortunately, our government are only interested in what comes to their pocket, not the well-being of the people they are governing. So we also have the poaching, and that is an illegal wildlife trade. That is high-value species, elephant for ivory, rhinos for horns, and pangolins for scales. Seriously, I don't know. There was a video. I was trying to bring the video of this. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it. Couldn't get it to move to my phone. I just saw it this morning. That one, I don't know whether it's called it a sea tortoise, very big and massive, was caught at a Badagry. Just this, I think yesterday or thereabout. I saw the video trending this morning, and now they have killed it. They brought it to market for sale. They should have just asked, "Oh, what kind of animal is this?" and bring it for conservation. But that's not bushmeat hunting. There are markets everywhere in our major cities where you can easily go and get your bushmeat. These are some of the challenges that we have affecting our Africans' unique wildlife, and is causing rapid depleting in population. We also have the challenge of climate change, that is rainfall patterns, desertification, sea level rise. These are some of the associated challenges. Human-wildlife conflict. In fact, one of my PhD students is working on a human-wildlife conflict, especially with respect to elephants and baboons. Somewhere around Epe and the Jebu axis, the conflict is serious. The crop raiding is serious there. And the baboon, they all damage crops. And of course, where you, by the time the baboons and the alcohol are damaging, are damaging the farm, the next thing is to resort into killing. I recollect somebody was told me that if you, all you need to do is just get palm wine, put some tramadol or sleeping tab inside palm wine and put it in your farm. If baboon get to that place and they just drink the palm wine, now that's how you meet them the following day. By the time you meet them, because they will sleep off. So there is livestock predation. The lions, the hyenas, they prey on livestock creation, and they thus create tension within community. And I am showing this slide just to help us to see how it was a study conducted on the impact of climate change on in about a number of countries, and I can see here how the place have been seriously depleted. There is increased mortality of elephants. There is range contraction of the African lion. There is range contraction of the African wild dog. Some 3 or 4 years ago, an elephant was killed at Idari. And why? That Idari happened to be a corridor between Omobasa Reserves, Okomu National Park, and Cross River National Parks. That is their route. So it was on their way that the elephant straight into the town, and of course the elephant was killed. We also see range of contract of African wild local in South Central Africa, and these are some of the pictures giving us depletion in the animals. We have in Lesotho about 30-40% decrease of species richness in bird assemblages had gone. The retreat of mountain vegetation to higher elevation in the great escapement. So see some of the activities associated with challenges associated with climate. Of course, we have the challenge of invasive species. We have the Prosopis jolliflora. They outcompete native vegetation. We have the challenges of Chromonella odorata. These are some of the invasive species that override and displace the native vegetation. So these are some of the challenges associated. Above all is the weak conservation policies. Our conservation policies is very, 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 very weak. I recollect some years ago, I was just speaking with somebody this morning. I was asking that if I kill an antelope, how much will be my fine? I said, will it be up to 100,000? He said, no, it can't be up to 100,000 naira. So if I kill an antelope and I know that I will make close to 200,000 or 500,000 from it, I will be willing to pay the fine. I'll be willing to pay the fine of 50,000 naira fine over the antelope that I killed. So our policies are very, very weak, and that is what is affecting our unique African wildlife. We have weak policy. We have weak enforcement. We went for a field work. Sometimes I won't mention the name of national parks, and where we are there, we have about 4 or 5 rangers with only one gun. Not even modern day gun. You see all this damn gun with only 2 or 3 bullets that he went with us. So the enforcement is poor. And of course, even apart from the enforcement is poor, the enforcement officers are also their partners in crime to some of these things we are talking about. So for us to actually protect our Africa's unique wildlife, we need to work on our policy. Wildlife laws are poorly implemented in some regions. Even the laws are even weak. And of course, the enforcement officer too also need to be taken care of. If they are aware, that is one of the good things that is helping Annie in is of topmost concern to them. And so the guys are up there to really go to. I worked with some of them late last year, and I can tell you for free that they were with us. In fact, some of these Fulani S-men, we caught some of them, and we caught some of them, but out of, I think we caught about 3 of them on 2 different occasions. And because they were well taken care of in terms of enough resources for them to police or to manage the park. Of course, the plastic waste harms marine and terrestrial species, the oil spillage, especially in the Niger Delta area, pesticides, afterburns affect birds and other non-target species. So we need to work on some of these things so that they won't create problem for us in the near future. Of course, what are we talking about? The conservation effort in Africa. National parks and reserves such as Serengeti National Park, the famous for the great migration, the Kruger National Parks, known for its diverse wildlife. Virunga National Parks in Congo DRC is a stronghold for mountain gorillas. Old National Park is the home for the roan antelope and the patas monkey. We are in Okobo National Park too is the white-throated monkey and then forest buffalo. Those are some of the peculiar animals associated with them. And so these are some of the issues that effort of so far. I know, just like Dr. Sulaiman has said, the African Nature Initiative, they are already working. The Nigerian Conservation Foundation, they are also working and putting some things in place. Now we need to step up our game to protect our animal, our both plant and animal. We can begin to now manage use drones to manage, and that's one of the things that stood out. Annie in Gataka Gomti, everything that happened at every area, they are able to track them with their GPS and other devices. They have drones that can move around and locate. They have helicopter that can patrol. So these are some of the things that they are being put in place. But our government need to do more. We need to propagate the gospel to the government to do more at providing enough materials. Let's go digital by providing enough equipment for the rangers and the park officers and forest officers to work with, so that they can be able to protect the environment very well. I can tell you for free that some forest reserves are undergoing restoration and some are about undergoing restoration. At least I'm about getting involved in the project that will involve in restoration of biodiversity of plants and animals of some selected national parks and forest reserves. As I speak now, I am my team. We are conducting a research on the production of a compendium for floral biodiversity in all the national parks in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we couldn't get some national parks for security reasons, like the Kanji Lake National Park. We couldn't go to that place. I think Kamuku, we couldn't go to that place, and the Chad Basin for security reasons, and of course, because of the low funding. Part of the thing we need to do is to increase in awareness. Let's educate the public let's use all media, all manner of all forms of social medias and the other means to educate the public, to reduce the demand for illegal wildlife products, and also to encourage ecotourism. Let's encourage ecotourism to get more funding to support our reserve. So as I conclude, Africa's unique wildlife is a treasure trove of fascinating species that play a vital role in maintaining the delicate balance of the ecosystems. The following recommendations are hereby recommended or suggested. One, I've said before, strengthen our policies, enhance legal frameworks to protect habitat and wildlife. And I can tell us for free that we have policies, but they are not strengthened, they are not empowered to actually really be effective. We have to promote sustainable development. Like I told my association last year, when they are challenging, they say that they cannot cut tree. We can't tell them not to cut tree, but we can only ask them to promote. We can only do sustainable felling, so that we just be able to we see not leave the place exposed. So we should promote sustainable development, balance infrastructure growth with ecological consideration. Also, we need to empower communities to protect. Excuse me, empower communities to protect or to provide or to monitor those environment, those wildlife, both plant and animal around them. Provide training for them, give them incentives, employ them, let them know that it is their property, they need to do that. We also need to expand protected areas. And I think that's part of the good news that they have just done, is a move in the right direction, even though they have a lot of work to do with the creation of additional 3 national parks that are just took over lately. I know of Bahil at in Osun State. I don't know. I know that's also one in Niger State, if that one was also picked up too. But I know. So let us expand our protected areas, increase the coverage and connectivity of conservation zones. Let us also together rise to challenge of combating climate change. And above all, let us invest in research. We have to invest in research. How can we preserve this animal? How can we preserve this plant? How can we protect this environment? How can we make more money, generate IGR, both to the government and to the community from these resources? So as I conclude, Africa's wildlife is a vital part of its identity, economy, and ecological integrity. Preserving it requires a balance between development and conservation. Preserving them requires a balance between development and conservation. Africa's ecosystems are incredibly diverse and interdependent. They are vital not only for the intrinsic ecological value, but also for the livelihood of millions of people. I say it again, that the day the last tree is die, that the last man ceases to exist. The day the only living tree is cut off, the last man dies. So that is to say that is to just to support the fact that beyond the intrinsic ecological value, it also provides livelihood for millions of people. Hence, the uniqueness of our wildlife. Protecting this ecosystem is essential to ensure a sustainable future for Africa. It is unparalleled wildlife heritage. By addressing challenges such as habitat destruction and climate change, while involving local communities in conservation efforts, Africa can ensure its wildlife thrives for generations to come. Together, we can move beyond the savannah and protect the unique tapestry of life that makes Africa a global treasure. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Professor Segun Oladoye, Professor of Forest Ecology and Conservation, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Thank you, Prof. We really appreciate your wonderful presentation. I want to believe myself and everyone connected to this webinar has been greatly impacted. It has been a power-packed presentation, and I want to tell you that I picked up a lot of wonderful insights, initiatives, and discoveries about the African wildlife that I'm not even aware of. And I also want to believe other participants have been greatly impacted. Thank you once again, Prof, and we're very grateful for that wonderful presentation. Okay, so yeah, you're welcome, sir. Okay, so moving on to the next agenda of today's event is the question and answer section. So I want to believe we've all jotted down our questions, or we've noted down our questions. So this is the time to ask any questions or seek any clarification on any of the subjects or topics that have been discussed, either by Professor Oladoye or Dr. Mohammed. So please, you can drop your questions in the in-call message section, or you can raise your hand if you want to ask the question directly to the person you want to direct the question to, either of our speakers, either Professor Segun or Dr. Mohammed. So please, the floor is open. You can ask your question. Okay, we have one person in the name of Lawal Ibuku. Please, Lawal, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Please, can you all hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Sulaiman, and thank you, Professor Oladoye, for the impactful presentation. So I can't really say if it's a question or a comment, But I heard from the speakers, they all said that Nigeria did not have data, which I think is a very, very sad thing. But from the first presentation and the second one, they both mentioned some data which I think we can work with. And so my own is, can we have maybe like a platform where individual or organization can drop their data? Because I don't believe Nigeria did not have data. We all have data. But can there be a platform where everyone can drop their data and where we can update regularly for our use? Then the second one is, from the presentations I heard the threats, the challenges, then we did mention our strengths and the opportunities that lies ahead of us. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Okay, thank you, Lawali Buku, for that wonderful question. So I would, before I call on Eniola to ask a question, I would allow our speakers to address that concern and prefer a solution.
Thank you very much, Lawan, for the beautiful question. So I'm going to answer the first part of your question, and I will allow Prof to answer the second part of the questions, which is on our strengths. Okay, like we said, Nigeria is rich in biodiversity, and of course we have a lot of data. We have different experts, those that are experts in plants, those that are experts in birds, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, and so many other taxa. And day to day, we collect this data, Unfortunately, we don't have one database that can give you all the biodiversity of Nigeria. So for example, if you are looking for the birds of Nigeria, you will have to refer to the BirdLife International website and also AppLorry. They have a project called Nigerian Bird Atlas Project. So these two databases are the only places where you can get avian data. But for example, if you are looking for data on reptiles, amphibians, it's very difficult to get that of Nigeria alone. So the only available platform now is iNaturalist platform, which I said maybe on the subsequent webinars, we can have one webinar to enlighten our people on how you can use and upload your data on iNaturalist. iNaturalist is a very beautiful database where scientists around the world come and upload their findings, their data. These data are mostly photographic data. Okay, you go out to the field, you observe a butterfly, you take the photo, you upload. Even if you don't know the name of the butterfly, other experts around the world can suggest names for that butterfly for you. Okay, so you upload butterfly, you upload reptiles, you don't have limit to whatever thing you want to upload as far as it is between plants and animals or microorganisms. So in that way, different people, different scientists, different researchers around the world, including Nigeria, keep uploading data. Like I said, the project we are currently doing two projects, one on the Yankari and Hadija wetlands, and the other one on the Chad Basin National Park, the Dagona sector. Okay, we keep uploading this data. We have the project page. At the end of my presentation, I dropped a link. So once you have the presentation, if you click on the link, you see all the data we've submitted. We've recorded more than almost close to 1,000 species of plant and animals, if you check there. So iNaturalist is one of those databases, or one of the only database where you can go, you can find all these data on different taxa and different classes, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. So we are looking for a way. One of our future plan, what we are planning is to be able to come out. Now, some of the photos we've taken, we are trying to put it into field guide and also mobile applications, so that when you come to Nigeria, all the animals in Nigeria, you can use the application to know, okay, how many reptiles are there? Let me see their photos. How many amphibians are there? Let me see their photos. And we're also trying to develop field guides, so that whenever you come to Nigeria, you have our own field guide, not that the field guide that the West others have done who are not from Nigeria. No, we want to create our own. Then another thing is to come up with one database that will give you all the biodiversity of Nigeria. But this is our future plan, and depending on whether we get funding or not, but this is one of the plans. So we can be proud that, yes, this is our database, this is Nigerian based, this is where you can get all the data on biodiversity in Nigeria. But for now, we are using iNaturalist, and of course, iNaturalist is for others, okay? But it is a very good website. You can get all the data on iNaturalist. I don't want to take much time. So Prof can answer the second part of the question.
Okay, Prof, over to you for the other part of the question.
All right, thank you so much. Let me, before I move on, I just add that, in fact, as I speak now, myself, I'm leading a team of 700 researchers now to conduct a floral biodiversity assessment of national parks in Nigeria. And as is, we have covered about 5 national parks. Like I said, for security reasons, we might not be able to go to some of these other parks, like Kanji Lake National Parks and other places. And what we plan to do with that data is to host it on the National Park Services, on the website of the National Park Service. And we also want to develop an app in such a way that you can easily link. By the time you want to know, you want to have a checklist of species in Okomu National Park, just go to the website of the National Park and click on the app. It is going to be an open app. You can click, you can see the checklist of species that are associated, that are found in that area, and the same thing for Okomu, the same for Odoyo, Cross River, and Gazaka Gomti National Parks. So we are working on that. But just the only problem I think we have also with that, related to that, is excuse me, is unfortunate that I must sincerely say that in Nigeria we have policies. Oh, we have policies, we have good organizations, but there is duplications of organizations, and that makes it less productive. I know we have Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, who should be that institute should be a database, a database for us. I love some in 2017 or 2018. I went to the place and I asked, they have SNL. I said, do you have the database? Do you have data for all the SNR we have in Nigeria? It's actually they don't have any, and that is the challenge. National park services, do they have the checklist of all the animals in their national parks? They don't have. That's about the challenges you are talking about. If a national park cannot say that, okay, ideally I should be able to go to the national parks website and be able to know that, okay, when you get to Okomu National Park, these are the kind of animals we see there. In fact, possibly their location, their coordinates. They should be able to do that. As we get to Cross River National Park and be okay, but once when you get to a particular place, when you get to Okwango Division, these are the kind of animals we see there, without me going to that place first. But we don't have data, we don't have that. So and that's why I said we need to strengthen our policies so that we can be able to have, like he said, it's not because at least there are several researchers who have conducted research on animal flora and fauna distribution in forest reserves, in national parks, but they are only for publications and promotion. They are not going anywhere, and that is sad. So that area needs to be looked into. Just like he said, I think it's unfortunate that those who should be here are not here. There should be Forest Research of Nigeria here. There should be National Park Services on this platform so that they can hear and pick up that assignment. There are people, all you need to do is assemble researchers. Let them submit their publications. You don't even need your money. Yes, we need money. My salary is poor. I mean, Dr. Sulaiman. But at the same time, we will give the data freely. Let it be on our website. Let's share it together. But so I can't now say, okay, I have data, come and take. They are the ones that will call us. They are the ones that will take that initiative. So it's a serious challenge. Yes, just to say that we have talked about challenges and co. That's not to say that we don't have anything good to say about ourselves. In fact, the fact that we have our national parks is show that we have potential for a better future. In fact, that we have national park services, we have Okomu, we have about 17 national parks as we speak now. Also suggests that there is hope for us. I can tell you that we have about 1,000 and thereabout forest reserves in Nigeria. That means we have the potential to do well. We have potential to have our resources, our reserve protected. We have all those things. We have some endemic species or animals that are like for instance the chimpanzee, the Ibado-Malimbe. They are only peculiar to Nigeria alone. They are only peculiar to they are discovered here. So that means they can't be. We can have them and have them. And somebody is making me to laugh here. We said prof salary is big. That's all right. I claim it. But honestly speaking, we have the potential. We still have some relics of tropical rainforest, savanna. If all these places are well maintained, sincerely yours, Nigeria has potential to generate IGR that can boost our economy. So that's not to say we are not really doing well. We have the economic potential in ecotourism that we can do that, and we have some of our NGOs like NCF, like Nigeria Conservation Foundation, like ANI, and a host of other organizations like Dr. Sulaiman had mentioned that are also working. That shows we are also trying. But there is a saying in my community that when they say a chicken is sweating, but it is the feather that did not allow us to see that is sweating. Yes, we are. But if the effort has not really been obvious, we can't really start to praise ourselves. We still have some animals. We still have some plants. Our medicinal value alone is enough to take care to if Nigeria can just sit down and invest in a medicinal value of our plant and animal, it's enough for us to generate huge IGR. But because of politics and insincerity, I have a task in my hand. I needed to do some assessment and make some selection for some assessment. I realized that the people they had me to come out to assess, some of them are actually they don't even have what I need. But but that is the politics in question. So the right people sometimes are not being given the right. So it becomes so difficult for us even to talk about our challenges. Annie, not many of us knew about Annie. I didn't know about Annie until about 2 or 3 years ago. That they are really working, and they are really working in Gasaka Gomti and also in Okomu National Park. In fact, I needed to speak with them that you may have to extend some of this your training, your MOU to Kanji Lake National Park and Odo National Park. As we speak now, Odo National Park has also been taken over. As I'm talking now, the last time we couldn't go to that place last year again. It has been taken over because of these minings and coal. So that's to say that we have the potential, that we even have additional parks that we have some of these animals still present in Nigeria, shows that we have strength, we have potential. That also shows that some of our NGOs like NCF and co, they are also working, and they are working, but yet we are yet to see the effort. We are yet to say that okay, until we can boldly talk about our reserve, our national park, that they are doing well. That is where we can begin to say our strength. So we see our future if we can consolidate on our efforts and our little achievement. We have a future. Our wildlife still have a great future if government will not pay lip service to some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Segun, for that wonderful clarification, and also Dr. Sulaiman. Thank you for doing justice to that question. And also, we have one more question from Enyola. Enyola, please, can you unmute and ask your question?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, sir. Actually, the question is not from me, but it was in the in-call messages by Mr. Bashir Issa. Can we hear me?
Yes, we can. Please, yes, go on.
All right. Okay, so the question is, please, I need to know the waterbird species that are prone to entanglement by abandoned fishing gears.
Okay. So majority of those birds that are mostly are vulnerable to entanglement by the net are usually the water birds and waders. So there are some categories of birds we refer to as waders, those birds that forage at the edge of a water body, whether a lake or river. So those birds that forage at the edge of any water body are referred to as waders, whereas those that forage inside the water are referred to as water birds. So these water birds can be ducks or geese. Okay, so for example, the spurwing geese. For the ducks, we have the white-faced whistling ducks, the fulvous whistling ducks, the gagnies, the knob-billed ducks, the African pygmy ghosts. All these are dogs that usually forage inside the water. So water birds and waders are more vulnerable to what is it called, to entanglement by nets, by the fishing gear. Okay, so the water birds are mostly vulnerable. So I don't know if if I've answered your question, but
Eniola, did you hear Doctor? He said if he wanted to be sure if he was able to answer your question, or do you need further clarification so that he can make that available as well?
Thank you very much, sir. Apparently, the question is not from me. It was from the in-call messages. Mr. Bashir Issa. I think he's still on the call.
Okay. Well, so far we've not been able to hear from him. Mr. Bashir Issa, if you're still there, please, Doctor is asking if his answer to your question has been attended to. If you, I think he's raising up his hand. Okay, yeah, you have the floor, Mr. Bashir. You can ask your question directly to speakers, whichever one you want to direct the question to. Please unmute yourself and ask. Hello, Mr. Bashir.
Hello, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, the answer is quite clear, so everything is okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Bashir.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you to the guest speakers for answering the question. So do we have any other question from participants? Is there anyone that wants to ask our speakers any question or want to seek clarification on any of the topics or any of the discussions that have been addressed by our speakers? Okay, I think we don't have any other question from our attendees. So I assume everyone understood and we are all okay with all the presentation, and I also want to believe we've been greatly impacted. Thank you once again, Professor Segun and Dr. Sulaiman. We are really grateful, and we cannot express our gratitude for making out time from your busy schedule to attend today's webinar, not just attending it, but by also sharing with us your wealth of knowledge, your research, and your findings. We are truly grateful, and we hope that we'll have you more often in our subsequent webinars. Thank you so much, and we are grateful. Okay, so without wasting so much of our time, I think we would proceed to have our group photos. So, Eniola, I don't know if you can help us take the photos. Are you there, Eniola?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Thank
so
you
please,
very much, sir.
Okay.
Please,
So,
let's
I'm
turn
going
on
to
our
please
cameras.
ask that we all turn on our cameras so we can have a group photo.
All right. Okay, I guess everybody is not turning on their cameras. Okay, please, let's turn on our cameras so that we can feature in the picture. All right, beautiful. And we can give our best smile. So we go 1, 2, 3, capture. All right, for the second page. Okay, everybody's here again. Few minutes, please. All right, 1, 2, 3, capture. All right. Thank you very much, Sazamas.
Okay, shortly before we leave the call, I would like to recognize and appreciate the presence of Professor Gabriel Dedeke. Thank you for joining, Prof. We are grateful for your presence.
DDK.
Sorry, DDK.
DDK.
I apologize.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm actually in BPHS. Today is our Founders Day.
Oh, great.
Usually have it in January. So that's why I couldn't put on my camera immediately you said so. But I have followed right from the beginning to the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for the two speakers. Yeah, for doing justice to the meeting today.
Okay. So, and on behalf of the founder who is unavoidably available to join us today, I want to thank each and every one of you, especially to Professor Segun and Dr. Sulaiman. We are really grateful. We thank you for your continued dedication to wildlife conservation, and to also you're always there to respond to our call, regardless of how and when it comes. You're always available. We are very grateful, and we hope that we'll continue the relationship and we'll continue to do more for our precious wildlife. And to all our volunteers and our friends who have made out time to join us, we want to thank you for your time. We appreciate and we look forward to having you in our subsequent webinars. Thank you all for joining, and do enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you and have a nice day.